If you are considering planting cashew on your land, understand this clearly. This is not a seasonal crop decision. It is a 20-year land use decision. And most cashew failures do not happen because the crop is bad. They happen because the system was poorly designed from the beginning. Today we're going to break down cashew farming from a serious landowner's perspective. The biology, the establishment risks, the flowering stage volatility, and the processing realities that most people underestimate. Let's start with the crop itself. Cashew is a perennial tropical tree, adapted to regions with a defined dry season. It is often described as drought-tolerant. But drought-tolerant does not mean stress-proof. In its early years, cashew develops a deep taproot. That taproot is critical. It anchors the tree, supports long-term canopy stability, and allows access to deeper soil moisture during dry periods. But here is what many landowners miss. Roots do not just need water. They need oxygen. If your land has compacted subsoil, clay hardpan, or poor drainage, the root system cannot penetrate deeply. When roots hit compaction, they spread laterally instead of vertically. Water stagnates. Oxygen availability drops. Root respiration declines. And once the root architecture is compromised in the first year, the tree never fully corrects itself. This is why many orchards look acceptable in year 2, but begin to show uneven growth, yellowing, or decline in year 4 or 5. The structural weakness was installed at planting. So before discussing yield, the real question is, does your land drain within 24 to 48 hours after heavy rainfall? If water stands longer than that, you are not installing an orchard. You are installing chronic root stress. Cashew prefers deep, well-drained soils, ideally at least 1 to 1.5 meters of workable depth. Slightly acidic to neutral soils are generally suitable, but drainage is non-negotiable. Now let's move to the establishment phase, years 0 to 3. This is where most long-term mistakes occur. During this period, the tree is not focused on yield. It is building structure. First priority, root expansion. Second, scaffold branch formation. Third, canopy architecture. But many new growers attempt to accelerate early growth using heavy nitrogen fertilization. The tree responds with rapid vegetative expansion, large leaves, fast canopy growth, impressive height. It looks successful. But biologically, something else is happening. Excess nitrogen shifts the plant toward vegetative dominance. Carbohydrate reserves in woody tissue may be reduced. And future flowering in cashew depends in part on proper carbon-to-nitrogen balance within the plant. If early growth is pushed aggressively, structural wood may be weaker, canopy architecture may be poorly balanced, and reproductive maturity may be delayed or destabilized. Perennial crops do not reward speed. They reward structure. Spacing decisions are equally critical. If trees are planted too close, canopy overlap reduces light penetration. Increased humidity inside dense canopy raises pest and disease pressure. Airflow declines. Long-term management becomes difficult. If spacing is too wide, land is underutilized and canopy efficiency drops. These are not small errors. They are 15-year corrections. Years 0 to 3 are structural engineering years, not income years. Now let's talk about where yield is actually decided. Most people assume yield problems appear at harvest. In reality, cashew yield is decided during a short 3 to 4 week flowering window. Cashew produces 2 types of flowers, male flowers and hermaphrodite flowers. Only hermaphrodite flowers can develop into nuts. During the flowering period, environmental stress plays a decisive role. Temperature spikes, high humidity, and nutrient imbalance can shift the ratio toward more male flowers. Pollen viability may decline. Developing flowers may abort. Micronutrients such as boron are critical for pollen function. Potassium plays a role in carbohydrate transport during fruit set. If deficiencies occur during the flowering window, correction after flower drop is biologically too late. This stage is non-reversible within the season. Cashew yield is not a 6-month management decision. It is a 30-day precision window. Additionally, under severe stress or nutrient imbalance, cashew may show alternate bearing tendencies. Heavier yield one year, lighter the next. While not as extreme as some fruit crops, instability can increase if the system is poorly managed. Yield volatility is usually stress-induced. It is rarely random. Now, let's move beyond the field and into the economic reality. Growing cashew is agriculture. Making money from cashew is processing. The cashew nut is enclosed in a hard shell that contains cashew nut shell liquid, a corrosive phenolic compound. The edible kernel is inside that shell. Revenue depends on kernel recovery rate, breakage percentage during shelling, moisture control during drying, grading quality. If harvested nuts are stored above safe moisture levels, fungal contamination risk increases and grade declines. If shelling processes cause excessive kernel breakage, market value drops immediately. Two orchards with identical yield per acre can generate very different income depending on recovery efficiency and grade quality. Without access to proper processing infrastructure, growers often sell raw nuts and become price takers in volatile markets. This is why cashew is not simply a production crop. It is a value chain crop. Now, who should avoid cashew? If your land has poor drainage and you are unwilling to invest in correction, avoid it. If you require returns within 2 to 3 years, avoid it. If you lack access to processing infrastructure or reliable buyers, reconsider carefully. If you are not prepared to manage the flowering window precisely, yield stability will be difficult. Cashew rewards long-term thinking, structural planning, and biological awareness. Before planting, ask yourself, is my soil depth sufficient? Does my land drain efficiently? Can I sustain 3 to 5 non-cash flow years? Is processing access secured? Am I designing the orchard for 20 years, not just for year 1? Planting is easy. Designing the system is the real decision. If you are planning orchard development on your land and want structured crop suitability clarity before investing, careful planning prevents expensive corrections later. Cashew can be a resilient long-term orchard, but only when biology, land, and infrastructure are aligned. Plan the land, plan the structure, then plant the tree.